Please be seated.
Mr. Lazarevic, next break will be at noon.
I'll bear this in mind. Thank you, Your Honor. Dr. Bajević.
Question. Dr. Bajević, before we took the break, you had told us that you found employment at the then National Security Service of Republika Srpska and that you worked as an operative. Just to clarify things, what kind of duties does the post of an operative entails? Answer. This entails, to put it shortly, the realization of intelligence and counterintelligence activities. Question. Could you please explain in more detail, because we here are laymen, what you mean by the realization of intelligence and counterintelligence activities? Answer. That involved gathering intelligence information, preparation of intelligence studies, and passing them on to those who wielded political power. This was relative to all forms of endangerment of national security and the protection of national interests. Question. Thank you very much. While you were working at the then National Security Service, which then later became the State Security Department, with respect to this first level on the ladder that you had, did you, for example, acquire any higher position in the hierarchy later on? Answer. No, I didn't. Throughout the whole period of my work at the State Security Department, I was an operative. Question. How long did you work there? Answer. I worked for the State Security Department until the end of December 1995. When I left my job, I actually resigned at my own initiative. Question. After that, what did you do? What kind of jobs did you do? Answer. From January 1996, I took permanent residence in Belgrade. And from September 1996, I started working at the then Police Academy. As an assistant intern on the subject of the state security system. Question. After that, did you advance through your teaching career? Answer. Yes, I did. When I acquired my master's degree in political sciences, I was given an academic title of assistant. After that, I acquired the titles of a lecturer, senior lecturer, and professor. At the police college. After I had required my PhD, I became a teacher, or actually assistant professor at the Academy of Criminology and Police. Question. Are you still doing the same job? Answer, yes, I am. I am working as a teacher at the Academy of Criminology and Police in Belgrade. Question. Can you tell us what subjects are you teaching? Answer. At the moment, I'm teaching the following subjects: international security, the methodology of intelligence work, security systems, and terrorism and political violence. There are some other subjects, but they are of a more specialized nature and are taught at a master's level. I think what I just told you would suffice. Question, absolutely. In addition to teaching, were you involved in scientific and research work as well? Answer. Working at university invariably involves teaching and research work as well. So yes, I was involved in research, both independently and as part of individual projects. Question. Have you published any scientific works? Of course, we are not going to go through all of them. But can you just highlight what of these papers would, in your view, be the most important ones? Answer. So far, I have published some 50-odd scientific articles in national and international magazines and proceedings. But I think the most important ones are monographies and textbooks that I have published so far. Question. Can you tell us some of their titles, please? Answer. I'm talking about 3 monographies. The first one is entitled The Role of the Intelligence Community in Foreign Policy. The showcase of the US. 2 publications of the monography entitled World Security from Transparency to Secrecy, which deals with the structure and analysis of various intelligence systems existing in the world. And finally, the 4th one is a textbook entitled Basic Elements of Security. Question, thank you very much. During your professional career, were you a visiting professor at any other universities? And if you were, can you tell us which universities? Answer, yes, I was. I worked at the Faculty of Political Sciences in Belgrade, the Faculty of Security, and some privately owned universities in Belgrade. Question, just a couple of questions about this. During your professional career, did you cooperate with any international organizations? Yes, I did, particularly within the framework of the project entitled Reform of Police and Police Educational System in Serbia, with the OSCE and the Council of Europe. Question, thank you. And just for the record, your expert report is in the electronic system of this court is number 4D499 and UCV is 4D500. Let us now move to some other topic. Tell me, please, when was the first time you had a contact with the defense team of Mr. Borovčanin? Answer, that was in the spring of 2007. I think it was late April or early May. I'm not quite sure. Question, how was this contact established between you and Mr. Borovčanin's defense team? Answer, first there were telephone contacts, then we agreed to have some working meetings, and then we met in person. Question, can you tell us where this took place? Answer, in view of my professional commitments, I asked members of the defense team to meet with me in my office at the Academy of Criminology and Police. Question, what were you told at the time about the subject of your expert report? Answer, members of the defense team of Mr. Borovčanin indicated that the subject of my expert report should be organization and responsibilities of the Ministry of the Interior of Republika Srpska in the period 1992-1995. Question, and of course you accepted to act as an expert, and when your appointment was formally acknowledged by the registry of this tribunal. Was that followed by any further contact with the defense team of Mr. Borovčanin? When you're Yes, there were a number of telephone conversations and there were some meetings in person. Question. Did the Borovčanin defense team provide you with the appropriate documentation necessary for drawing up your report? Answer, yes, these meetings were precisely designed for that purpose. Question. Apart from the document mentioned in your report, did Mr. Borovčanin give you some other documents? Answer.
Well, the transcript here says on page 30, line 23. Oh, it's 31, I'm sorry. Did Mr. Borovčanin give you some other documents? The defense of Mr. Borovčanin, this is what I meant.
Thank you.
Jel potrebno da...
Is there any need for me to repeat the question? Answer. I understand the question. There is no need. No. The answer is no.
Hvala vam lepo.
Question. Thank you very much. As you were drafting your expert report, did you peruse any other documents not originally received from Mr. Borovčanin's defense? Answer. Yes, I did use other documentation. I believed that the topic and the structure of the report that I chose to use required using some other references and research material available as part of the public sources.
Hvala vam najlepše.
Question. Thank you. Before coming to The Hague to testify, on this occasion, did you ever visit The Hague before that?
Da.
Answer. Yes, in late November, early December 2007. My stay here lasted for about 6 or 7 days.
Kažite mi sad, molim.
Question. What was the reason of your stay in The Hague in November 2007? Answer. As I have explained already, in my contacts with Mr. Borovčanin's defense team, I expressed my desire to try and arrange such a visit on my part to The Hague and the tribunal in accordance with the procedure, of course. The purpose of which was for me to see what it all looks like. And I know now that it assisted me greatly.
Tokom.
Question. During your stay in The Hague, Did you have occasion to meet Mr. Borovčanin in person? Answer: yes. Upon approval of those in charge at the Hague Tribunal, one afternoon during my stay was dedicated to a visit of mine to see Mr. Borovčanin at the detention unit in Scheveningen. Question: thank you. Were you alone with Mr. Borovčanin on that occasion? Answer: no. There were 3 defense team members in attendance as well. Question: just one more thing. As best you can remember, how long did the meeting take? Answer: I think the meeting lasted for about an hour and a half or 2 hours, with a short break that was according to procedure, but I didn't pay much heed to such details. In any case, at least an hour and a half. Question: during the meeting, what was the topic of your discussion with Mr. Borovčanin and the defense team members? Answer: primarily, we talked about the general methodological framework which would serve as a basis for drafting my expert report. Question: be it Mr. Borovčanin or anyone else from his defense team, did any of those people try to exert any influence upon on the conclusions of your expert report? Answer: given that the topic of my analysis and expert report was known to everyone, Mr. Borovčanin's defense team members could only generally be familiar with certain individual elements of my expert report. However, they exerted no influence, be it on the contents or the chapters of the report, and especially the conclusions. I would simply not have allowed that, because finally I was the person signing the report. Question: thank you very much. You said already that during your stay in The Hague, you met with Mr. Borovčanin. Before that is to say, before November last year, had you known Mr. Borovčanin? Answer: yes. Officially, we met in person in 2000. We were both participants of a scientific gathering dedicated to the topic of world terrorism. That gathering took place in Banja Luka. Interpreter's correction: the year is 2002. Question: thank you very much. Excuse me, for the record, what was the year? Answer: 2002. Question: thank you. After the meeting in the detention unit in The Hague, did you ever meet with Mr. Borovčanin subsequently? And if so, in what circumstances? Answer: yes, very briefly. I believe it was in early summer this year. I saw Mr. Borovčanin for a few minutes when he was visiting his family. I believe that was the occasion. It was a very brief encounter, amounting to 5 or 6 minutes. Question: can you tell me where that took place? Answer: we met in front of a house where Mr. Borovčanin's parents live, I believe. It is in the outskirts of Bijeljina. Question: did anyone else attend this occasion? Answer: yes. Certain defense team members did. Those people are also present in the courtroom today. Question: how did it come about that you were in Bijeljina at the time? Answer: my sister lives in Bijeljina. I was visiting my family. Since I was in the area, I spoke on the phone with defense team members, and I asked that I be allowed to undertake a short trip to Bijeljina, Srebrenica and back. I was simply curious and I wanted to see that area. Although I hail from Bosanska Krajina, I never had visited those two towns before that. Question: to close this topic, I wanted to ask you this. Between 2002, when you met Mr. Borovčanin for the first time, and coming to The Hague, did you meet with Mr. Borovčanin during that time? Question: in between what period? Question: between 2002 and today. Answer: no. Question: correction for the transcript. Page 34, line 11. The question was between 2002 and 2007, rather than today. To round off the topic, how would you describe your relationship with Mr. Borovčanin? Answer: well, since we only met on a couple of occasions, I can say that he is an acquaintance of sorts. Question: thank you, Mr. Bajagic. Can you tell me what is before you on the desk? Answer: before me is a copy of my expert report, as well as a binder with documents in chronological order that support my expert report, and I have some additional papers in my briefcase, but I can't place them on the table. There's no more room. Question: thank you. Can you explain briefly the structure of your report? Answer. As we know, the report is entitled Ministry of the Interior of Republika Srpska, Organization and Competence between 1992 and 1995. According to the contents, you can see that it consists of 5 chapters. Chapter 1, General Context. Chapter 2, Establishment and Development of the MUP of Republika Srpska. Chapter 3, Control and Command in the RS MUP. Chapter 4, Reporting and Informing in the MUP. Finally, Chapter 5, Ranks and Functional Insignia in the RS MUP. Of course, preceding the chapters, there is a list of acronyms and abbreviations to refer to when reading the body of the text. Another question. The 5 chapters, do they contain subchapters? Answer, certainly. There are 5 general topics discussed in the chapters, and in the first 3 chapters there are subchapters. Question, thank you. I want to move on to the topic of your expert report. It is 4D499. Under general context, you provided a definition of the police at page 4 in the BCS and page 4 in the English in eCourt. It is paragraph 4. There you state that the police can be defined as an organ of governmental authority, the purpose of which is to protect societal values ascribed to it through the law, including any forceful means deemed necessary. If we start with this definition, what would be the basic function of the police? Starting with this definition, as well as many other definitions of the police, generally speaking, its basic function could be defined as serve and protect. That is to say, to implement tasks and duties in order to protect public law, security and order, and so on. Question. In your experience, the definition provided therein, does it only refer to the RS police, or is it universal in nature? Answer. This is certainly not something specific to the RS. It is a working definition used for the report and can be applied to any police organization in the world. Question, thank you. In your expert report, item 6, which is page 5 in the BCS and in the English version in eCourt, save for the basic function of crime prevention and repression, you also mention the service segment. What did you mean by that? In contemporary police school of thought, it is said that the police is there to serve and protect. To protect means combating crime, protecting law and order. As for the service or social service segment, that means that the police force should serve, which encompasses several duties and obligations within a society. If you wish, I can enumerate some of those. Assisting the elderly and infirm, assisting the young, assisting inebriated persons or persons who find themselves in similar states, as well as promoting safety and educating the society in that respect.
Pogledamo sad samo tačku 8.
Question, if you now look at point 8, this is also on page 5 in both versions. Can you tell us what are, in your view, the basic groups of police tasks? Answer. In addition to this social service aspect of police work, another two major groups of police tasks are definitely maintaining law and order and fighting crime. Fighting crime in general terms, which involves both prevention and repression.
Hvala vam najlepše.
Question, thank you. Can we now move to another topic, and that would be security? Can you tell me, in general terms, what security involves? And I would like to refer you to paragraph 11 in your report. That's on page 6 in BCA version, and the same page in English.
Paragraf 11 u mom
Answer. Paragraph 11 deals with national security, which necessitates full comprehension of the notion of national security. Security is a very wide notion, difficult to be defined, but I will do my best to give you the brief version. Security has two aspects, an objective one and a subjective one. Objectively speaking, that implies absence of threat to an acquired values embraced by individuals or society, and also the absence of fear of loss of these acquired values. This is a very often used notion of security in defining this aspect scientifically. Security in every sense implies that this is one of the basic human needs. Values and interests And finally, security is most certainly one of the basic attributes and functions of a state. Question, thank you. Of course. This brings me to my next question. What is a security system? Answer. Every state, in order to fulfill the functions that it's been established for, including security, must set up a certain system, as I call it here, the security system as a subsystem or part of the executive branch system. This implies forms of organizing and functioning a society, or rather a set of measures and activities pursued by organizations entrusted, I'm not going to quote precisely, with achieving and preserving security in the full sense of the word, and internationally it has been recognized as state security. Question, can we now look at paragraph 14 on page 5 and page 7 in English? What can you tell us about the subjects of the security system? How did you explain that in this particular paragraph? Answer. There is a multitude of various classifications of security subjects as basic elements of every security system. In my report, I just mentioned one of the possibilities in order to facilitate the further reading of my report. According to this classification that you can see here, the security system subjects can be divided into 3 groups. These are conventional, non-conventional, and supplementary subjects or elements of a security system. Question. Can you just tell us briefly something about these 3 systems? Can you tell us what conventional, non-conventional, and supplementary systems represent? Answer. Conventional, or let's say traditional or classic security systems definitely include Ministry of the Interior, i.e. the police, army as the second element, intelligence and counterintelligence institutions and other institutions set up at the national level, judiciary, prosecutor's office, customs, service inspections, and other organs entrusted with imposing criminal sanctions, etc.
U nekonvencionalne subjekte
Non-conventional elements of security systems are legislature, depending on the nature of the political system, whether it has a parliament or an assembly. Then there's executive organs, foreign affairs organs, and that would be it. Finally, bearing in mind one of the basic roles of the police, in addition to protect and serve, there are some supplementary elements that both the police as well as other conventional and non-conventional organizations have. We can include local communities and local government, public services, educational institutions, scientific institutions, non-governmental organizations, religious institutions, and citizens as individuals. Question, thank you very much. In this regard, what can you tell us about police as one of the security system elements? Answer. Police represents in every sense, regardless of which state we are talking about, one of the pillars of security systems. To put it simply, there is not a modern state in the world that does not have its own police force. Question, thank you. In your report, paragraph 18, page 8, or in BCS, you use the term administrative actions of police, and how are they classified? As I said, the purview and the competence of police are very precisely defined by various regulations and rules. Apart from the fact that these laws and bylaws, rules and regulations define the purview of the police, they also provide definitions of what legal authorization and powers police have in terms of carrying out administrative actions within their scope of responsibilities. These are actually police duties, or as we define it in the part of the world where I come from, police powers. Question, can we now explain in more details the administrative activities of police? Answer. I'm sorry, I did not give an answer. Question, I apologize for interrupting you. Answer, I did not give you an answer to the second part of your question. The science which deals with police says that administrative actions of police can be divided into two basic groups. These are administrative actions carried out by the police towards things, and those applied to persons. Maybe later we will have an opportunity to speak about both. Question, thank you again, and I apologize for interrupting you. In July 1995, can you tell me which legal document or act governed the authority and the powers of the RS police? Answer, that was the Law on Internal Affairs, passed in 1994. Question, thank you. Can we now look at Exhibit 4D 358, and in your folder it's tab 67.
Registrator.
In the binder.
Ja se izvinjavam.
Answer. I apologize.
Da, našao sam.
Yes, I found it. I found the tab. Microphone for the council, please.
Hteo bih prvo da...
Question. Let us first look at Article 40 of this law. It's on page 4 in BCS and page 8 in English. Can you see this Article 4? Answer, yes, I can. Question. Can you tell me what police activity is stipulated by Article 4? As we can see, Article 40 defines the powers of the police to issue.
Pređimo sada na član 41 ovog zakona. To je na strani...
Question. Let us now move to Article 41. It's page 4 in BCS and pages 8 and 9 in English. Can you tell me which administrative action is determined by Article 41? This involves checking ID papers in order to establish the identity of persons and bringing these individuals before the organ in charge. So actually there's two powers inherent to this article. One is to check the ID, establish the identity, and then bring such a person to the organ in charge. Question. Thank you. Let us now look at Article 42, the same page in BCS, and in English it's page 9. Can you tell what administrative action we are talking about here? This involves issuing information and warnings to individuals or summoning persons in order to give them notices and warnings. Question. Let's move now to Article 43, pages 4 and 5 in BCS and pages 9 and 10 in English. What administrative actions are we talking about here? Answer. Article 43 speaks about bringing people into custody. Question. Thank you. Let us move on now to Article 46, page 5 in BCS, pages 10 and 11 in English. So Article 46. What administrative action we are talking about here? This is one of the characteristic administrative actions that most police forces carry out, and that is the right to use vehicles and communication devices belonging to other people. Question. And in what way is this issue regulated? Answer. Well, it reads here that in exceptional circumstances, members of police and MUP can requisition or make use of private vehicles and communications devices, but provided that if they incur any costs in the process, they are obliged to refund the owner of the vehicle or the communications device. Question. Let's move on to Article 48, page 5 in BCS and page 11 in English. Answer. According to Article 48, the police is authorized to carry out administrative activities involving gathering of information and intelligence. Question. Thank you very much. Can we now move on to Article 50? Page 5 in BCS and page 11 in English. Can you tell me what administrative actions are envisaged by Article 50? Answer. Article 50 envisages the following administrative activities by using oppression means. I can tell you more specifically that it involves the use of physical power, rubber truncheons, service dogs, service-mounted police forces, water cannons, gas, and other means.
Let us look at Article 50 next. Interface correction 51. It is pages 5 and 6 in the BCS. In the English version, it is page 12. What does this article prescribe in terms of use of firearms? Answer. It defines the police authority to use firearms. As far as I can see, it provides the conditions in which the police have the right to use this authority. Question. Article 52 is next. It is on the next page. In English, it is also page 12. Answer. Very well. Question. What does Article 52 foresee? Answer. Freely interpreted, I would say that it describes the procedure in which a firearm may be used, in the sense that the firearm can only be used if all other means of force failed in implementing the police task. There is also an obligation of any authorized official entitled to carry and use a firearm to issue a warning prior to its use, and to, of course, keep in mind all other legal prerequisites that have to be met prior to using a firearm. Question. Thank you. During the proofing, you stated that this law was published in August 1995, but as far as we can see from the preamble, it was a revised text of the regulations passed before 1994, but were in force in July 1995 as well. Answer. Yes. It says amended and revised text in the preamble of the Law on Internal Affairs. However, the gist is the same.
I understand that in English version it says amended and revised text. What we suggest as being the correct interpretation should be consolidated.
That can be taken care of in due course. Thank you for your observation, Mr. Lazarevic. Please proceed.
Thank you, Janas. I sada
Now that we went through some regulations defining the authority and powers of the RSMUP, can you compare that with the regulation of other countries pertaining to the same topic? Are there any similarities or differences? Answer. Certainly. There are two different approaches to regulating the administrative activities of the police forces elsewhere in the world. Some define general authority and subsequently going into the details and specifics of those. There are examples which clearly and in a detailed fashion describe all of the different powers that such police forces have. Such police authority may not be defined only by the law on the police, but also as part of some other laws, such as the laws on combating organized crime, terrorism, etc. Some such examples are cited in my report. Question, thank you. Let us go to item 33 of your expert report. It is on page 11 in the BCS, and in English, it is page 12 in eCourt. I came across a term there, a state of national necessity. What do you refer to there? Answer. A state of national necessity is not specific to Republika Srpska alone. Any state can be in a state of peace or in a state of war or other circumstances. Such a state can be referred to as a state of national necessity, which may include several different situations. Question. This term, state of national necessity, how can be applied to the situation in Republika Srpska between 1992 and 1996? Answer. Certainly. The most extreme variations of the state of national necessity is a state of immediate threat of war and a state of war. Such two types of states of national necessity apply to the situation that was in place in Republika Srpska in that period. Question, thank you. Could we please, in eCourt, have a look at the next document, 4D219. In your binder, it is tab 2. I'd like us to have a look at page 2 in BCS and at page 4 in English. It is the 35th Amendment of the RS Constitution, published in the official Gazette of Republika Srpska on the 11th of November, 1994, in Sarajevo. Please have a look at Amendment 35. Pursuant to this amendment, What is the difference between a state of imminent or immediate threat of war and a state of war? Answer. The difference between an immediate threat of war and the state of war means that in the state of war, the fighting had already begun, whereas a state of immediate threat of war entails the existence of a serious and veritable threat that armed conflicts may ensue. Question. Thank you. We also have a state of emergency in sub-item 3. Can you tell us what that is according to the amendment? Answer. It means that there was a danger of safety, human rights, and freedoms, or normal functioning of constitutional organs, according to Amendment 35. Question. Let us have a look at item 2 of Amendment 35. Do the authorities of the President of Republika Srpska increase as opposed to certain other governmental organs, say the Assembly, in such a state? Answer. Since it is up to the Assembly to decide on the issue of war and peace, in item 2 it says that should the National Assembly be unable to meet, the state of immediate threat of war is pronounced by the President. According to this amendment, he is authorized to declare the state of immediate threat of war and of war. Question. So far, we have been discussing the constitutional amendments in 1994 when they were passed. The state of national necessity, as such, did it exist in Republika Srpska even prior to 1994? Answer. The state of national necessity existed in Republika Srpska prior to 1994 in the form of an immediate threat of war. I believe it was April 1992 when, in the territory of the then Serbian Republic of B&H, subsequently Republika Srpska, that the state of immediate threat of war was declared. I believe, according to the documentation I perused, that it was the 14th of April. Question. Thank you. Let us have a look at that document in e-court. It is 4D527. In your binder, it is tab 3. Is this the decision that you referred to? Answer. Yes, I can see it. It is a decision to declare an imminent threat of war and mobilization throughout the territory of the Republic. If my memory was correct, and it seems that it was the 15th of April, 1992. Question. Thank you. The state of national necessity you referred to, does it have any impact on the police as regards its authorities and administrative activities it may undertake? Answer. Certainly it does. In any case, any state of national necessity impacts directly on the work and functioning of state bodies, including the police, which in such situations, and according to some other legal regulations, in relation to a declared threat of war, receive special tasks and also special administrative activities. Question. What was the law that prescribed the functioning of the police in states of national necessity? Answer. It is the law on the application of the law on internal affairs in times of an immediate threat of war, dated November 1994. To be precise, the 29th of November. Question, thank you. During your testimony, we will frequently refer to that law. For now, I only have a general question concerning that. The administrative activities foreseen by the law, were they of permanent nature? Answer, no. Much as the state of national necessity was considered temporary, so did the law define all administrative activities of the police put in force by the new law for the duration of such a state of immediate threat of war or of war. Upon cessation of such states, the police no longer has the right to use them. Question. In order to be able to understand what the issue at hand is, I wanted to direct you to footnote 20 of your expert report. In e-court, it is at pages 12 and 13 in the BCS. In the English, it is page 13. Can you tell me which are the most characteristic administrative activities foreseen by that law? Answer. According to the law you refer to, in my expert report, I singled out some characteristic situations of revised or added administrative activities. I stipulated them in the footnote. In item 1, it is enforcing a special regime of accessing or leaving an object that is of security interest. This is not included in the basic law. This is a completely new activity. Another activity or authority is enforcing a special traffic regime for motor vehicles in designated locations. Which is also a completely new administrative activity. Activity number 3 is prohibiting the carrying and use of weapons and ammunition, including explosive substances, in public places, except for authorized personnel, if used in accordance with their rules of service. This administrative activity had existed before. The fourth one is prohibiting the sale and consumption of alcoholic beverages in public places. This is a brand new administrative activity. Item 5, suspending the transport and trade of weapons and explosive substances in designated locations except for the needs of the army and the MUP. It was a somewhat modified administrative activity compared to the regular activities. Under 6, ordering persons to reside in a designated place or prohibiting them to leave a designated place with mandatory reporting to the police. This was a new administrative activity not envisaged by the peacetime law. 7. Prohibiting the crossing of the state border. Save for a narrow category of certain persons, this was a new activity. Under 8, terminating the sojourn of certain categories of persons, a new administrative activity. Then next is 9, taking specific measures against certain persons which impact the inviolability of personal rights. Here, what is included is, for example, detaining and apprehending persons. And item 10 is taking specific measures without a previous written notice being served. That is an amended activity. The next one is ordering the measure of detention of persons, as well as searching places of residence, including a possible use of firearms. That is to say, police officers participating in such an activity need to have their firearms ready. Question. This was footnote 20. I believe in e-court we did not have the proper page displayed. This is a good time for the break, Your Honors.
What's the matter? Yes, I know. I heard you say that, but I noticed. Is there a problem? Yes, Mr. Ostojic.
Page 47, line 9. It just said footnote 20 appears in English.
One moment. Let me get to page 47 because we are on page 49. Yes, line 9.
It says that footnote 20 of his report appears on page 13 in English. It's actually just page 10. So I think that's what they just wanted
Right.
to
Okay.
clarify.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
The difference is that the pages
Yes,
in
yes,
e-court
yes,
do not
yeah,
correspond
yeah,
to the
yeah,
actual
yeah,
pages of the report.
Okay. Anyway, thank you for that. We'll have a 20-minute break. Thank you.
All rise. Vă chevuleve.